जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा
जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त
जय जय
वृंदा
श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा
जय श्री
जय
चैतन्य
जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद
जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा
चंद्र जय
अद्वैत
गौर भक्त
चंद्र गौर भक्त
श्री
वृंदा
चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय। श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. We are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 1, the later pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And we are reading about Mahaprabhu's travels from Jagannath Puri to, actually he headed to go to Vrindavan, but he'll just go to Bengal and come back. He'll go as far as Kanai Natashala. So, we were reading that Mahaprabhu went to Vidyanagar, to Vidya Vachaspati's residence. From there, he went to Kuliagram, and the Lord forgave the offenses of those who had offended him in the past, like Devanand Pandit and Gopal Chapal. And then also we saw how Narsimanand Brahmachari was preparing the road for the Lord in meditation. And there's a beautiful description of how he prepared the road. But yeah, but he could tell that he was not able to make the road beyond Kanai Natashala. So he concluded that the Lord was not going beyond that. He's going to return from Kanai Natashala, like that. Then from Kulyagram, the Lord went to Ramkeli. Yes, Ramkeli. So in Ramkeli lived Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, and the king Nawab Hussain Shah. And when Mahaprabhu reached Ramkeli, so many unlimited number of people were gathering around him. And Mahaprabhu also, he was performing kirtan and going into ecstasy. And seeing the influence of Mahaprabhu, Nawab Hussain Shah inquired. He actually thought this is a prophet, and he told his people, don't disturb the activities of this prophet. And then he also inquired from his personal assistant, Keshav Khatri, and he asked, what is, what do you think about this person? Give some information about this person. And in a very diplomatic way, Keshav Khatri said, no, he's just an ordinary person. Don't worry about him. It's just some of your jealous followers, they're jealous about him, so they're just making up stories. Nothing to worry about him, like that. But immediately he sent a message to Mahaprabhu telling him to leave the place as soon as possible, because he's attracting too much attention of the Muslim king. And also, after this, Nawab talked with Rupa Goswami, whom he treated like his brother. And then he asked him, what do you think about this person? And then Rupa Goswami honestly said, "You're very fortunate that the Supreme Lord has appeared in your country. Whatever prosperity you're experiencing or you will experience is because of His mercy," like that. And then he said, to sum up, why do you ask me? You ask your own heart, right? You ask your mind, actually, specifically. He said, you ask your own mind. What do you think about him? Because you are the king, we can trust your judgment. Why? King means you are the representative of the Supreme Lord. So I will accept what your mind tells you about him. So he said, my mind says that he is the prophet, he is the Supreme Lord. And then, let's see. Yeah, see, the king replied, I consider Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the supreme personality of Godhead. There is no doubt about it. Like that. So in this way they talked, and then the Nawab went back to his quarters and Rupa Goswami went back to his house. He had a discussion with his brother Sakar Malik. So they are actually none other than Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. And then they decided to go and meet with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uh, incognito, hiding their true identity in the dead of the night. They went so that uh, the Muslim king or the soldiers or anyone else would not know that they went to meet with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And first they met with Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. Haridas, they informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they brought Rup Sanatan Goswamis in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in great humility, they fell in front of Mahaprabhu in Dandavat obeisances with bunches of straw between their teeth, which is a sign of great humility. And when Mahaprabhu saw them, he was overwhelmed with joy, and he blessed them, right? He asked them to get up, and then once again, in humility, they started offering prayers. They said, Neech Jati, Neech Kaj, Neech Sangha. That means we are low born. Our association is also very low, and our work is also low. So we cannot introduce ourselves. What qualification do we have to introduce ourselves to you? We feel very ashamed to even stand in front of you like that. So now let's read what happened after that. 119. मत्तुल्यो नास्ति पापात्मा नापराधी च कश्चन परिहारेऽपि लज्जा मे किं ब्रुवे पुरुषोत्तमा. Dear Lord, let us inform you that no one is more sinful than us, nor is there any offender like us. Even if we wanted to mention our sinful activities, we would immediately become ashamed, and what to speak of giving them up. Purport. This verse is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 to 154 by Srila Rupa Goswami. So this is, you can see, Srila Rupa Goswami is saying, Mattulyo nasti papatma naparadhi na kaschana. There's no sinful person who is equal to me, and there's no offender either who's like me. And I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed. Pariharepi lajjame kim bruve purushottama. Even if we wanted to mention our sinful activities, we would immediately become ashamed when we speak of them. They're so bad that as we speak about them, we become completely embarrassed and ashamed. And then what to speak of giving them up? Even knowing all this, still we are doing them. We continue to do them. So just to Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is showing what is the degree of humility of the two brothers when they presented themselves in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, and also Srila Prabhupada explains why they are uh, considering themselves so lowly. Of course, the natural humility of a Vaishnava, but also in their case, they were serving the Muslim king, and in course of their serving the Muslim king, their habits, their behavior, their dressing style, everything had changed. They practically became Muslims. Although they were born in a very high Saraswat South Indian Brahmin family, because of low association, now, even their names were changed, right? Their appearance was changed, their names were changed, and their activities also, at least externally to the world, right? So they're saying we are very lowly. We are very, very lowly. Like that. पतित पावन हेतु तुम्हारा अवतार आत्मा नहीं आमा बोई जगते पतिता नहीं यार. The two brothers submitted, Dear Lord, you have incarnated to deliver the fallen souls. You should consider that in this world there is none so fallen as us. Again, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, I am more fallen than about himself. The author of Caitanya Caritamrita is saying, I am more fallen than Jagai and Madhai, right? If anyone hears my name, I'm lower than the worm in the stool. If anyone even hears my name, he will become sinful. How does one feel like this? We don't have that. We cannot understand. Only somebody who's on that level of devotional service can actually feel like that. Someone so advanced can feel like that. But the more a person advances in bhakti, the humbler he becomes. He sees himself as very, very insignificant. So, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, you are Patita Pavana. You have come to deliver the fallen. Our claim is first because we are the most fallen. Nobody is more fallen than us, right? Jagai madhai dui korile uddhar, taha uddharite shrama nahila tomar. You have delivered the two brothers Jagai and Madhai, but to deliver them, you did not have to exert yourself very much. so, when devotees describe something, they can really go into, like dissect it and really go deep into the topic. So, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami is saying, Rupa Goswami is saying, yes, Jagai Madhai are the most fallen, it is said, and you delivered them, right? You delivered even the most fallen Jagai and Madhai. But actually, when you delivered Jagai and Madhai, you didn't have to exert yourself so much. That means they were not as bad, although they are considered to be really bad, but still you didn't have to exert yourself, right? Let's say there's something, very bad stain, right? There's a light stain, like some mud or something, you wash it, it goes away. But let's say you have a very like haldi or something, a stain which just you cannot take out. You have to really clean and clean and clean to get that thing out. So like that, Jagai Madhai, in order to clean them, you didn't have to really exert yourself. It was not as bad. But what about us? Brahmana Jati, Tara Navadvipe Ghara, Nicha Seva Nahi Kore, Nahe, Nichera Kurpara, Nichera Kurpara. The brothers Jagai and Madhai belonged to the Brahmana caste, and their residence was in the holy place of Navadvip. They never served low-class persons, nor were they instruments of abominable activities. Well, they were not instruments of abominable activities. You understand? They were doing abominable activities themselves. We know they were raping women, of course, drinking wine, killing cows. What else is required, right? Jagai Madhai. Rupa Goswami is saying they didn't become instruments of abominable activities, right? We may not be doing, but we are working for for those who are doing those things. So that's even lowly, according to Rupa Goswami. The brothers Jagai and Madhai belonged to the Brahmana caste, and their residence was in Navadvip, the Holy Land. But they never served low-class persons, nor were they instruments to abominable activities. They were not instruments to abominable activities. सबे एक दोष तारा होय पापाचार पाप राशि दहे नामा भासे tomara. Jagai and Madai had but one fault. They were addicted to sinful activity. Right? What is the fault of Jagai and Madai? They were addicted to sinful activity. However, volumes of sinful activity can be burned to ashes simply by a dim reflection of the chanting of your holy name. Yes, as we discussed earlier, offenses are very severe. Sins, one like Ajamil, right? He once said, Narayan, when he named his son at the time of Jata Karma, name giving ceremony, he said Narayana. Once chanting the name of Narayana removed all his past, present, and future sins. All sins were removed by once chanting the name. But there is a condition there. He did not commit any aparad. No nama aparad was performed by him. No nama aparad. So when there is no offenses, then once chanting the holy name immediately clears. So even whatever sins he performed after that, it was all cleared automatically because of that once chanting. Therefore, at the time of death, he was able to chant Narayan again. So sins, so that's Nam Abhas. Why it's Abhas? He was not really calling out to the Supreme Lord in great devotion, oh Narayana. He was calling his son's name. It was a ritual that he was performing. Abhasa. Nevertheless, he was calling the name of the Supreme Lord, which is Sakshat Bhakti. Calling out the name of the Lord is directly devotional service, whether you know it or not. Only thing is when you do it unknowingly or in a, for some, just as joking or in an angry mood or whatever, when you just utter the name without the feeling of devotion, then it is called abhasa. It appears like devotion. But even that abhasa bhakti, nama abhasa, can deliver you from all your sinful activities. How powerful is the name of the Lord? That's the point here. Jagai and Madai had but one fault. They were addicted to sinful activity. However, volumes of sinful activity can be burned to ashes simply by a dim reflection of the chanting of your holy name. Dim reflection. Abhas. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami presented themselves as being lower than the two brothers Jagai and Madhai, who were delivered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Rupa and Sanatan compared themselves to Jagai and Madhai, they found themselves inferior because the Lord had no trouble in delivering two drunken brothers. This was so because despite the fact that they were addicted to sinful activity, in other ways their life was brilliant. They belonged to the Brahmana caste of Navadvip, and such Brahmanas were pious by nature. Although they had been addicted to some sinful activities due to bad association, those unwanted things could vanish simply because of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Another point for Jagai and Madhai was that as members of a Brahmana family, they did not accept service under anyone. This is another point, right? They didn't accept service under anyone. You see, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Only the Shudras accept service from others. Only Shudras. Brahmanas, they don't accept any service. They just teach and they worship, and uh, they are not paid any salaries. Same with Kshatriyas. They rule, right? They fight and they rule and they give protection. Vaishyas, they produce their own food or their own cloth or whatever, and then they just, maintain themselves by trading. The only people who take up service from others are Shudras. So Jagai Madai being born in a Brahmana family, they didn't serve anyone else. They were not working for somebody else. The Shastras strictly forbid a Brahmana to accept service under anyone. The idea is that by accepting a master, one accepts the occupation of a dog. In other words, a dog cannot thrive without having a master. And for the sake of pleasing the master, dogs offend many people. This is another thing, right? So when you have a master, you are faithful. You should be faithful to the master. Otherwise, how you'll be maintained by him? Shudras are, that's why actually Shudra quality is they are very faithful to their masters. They are maintained by the master, but they remain faithful. But in the material world, you know, this is mine and that is friends and enemies. My master I will protect, and anyone who is against my master becomes my enemy too. So if you happen to serve a mlecha master, then you will consider this person to protect him, you consider others against him as your enemies. As a result, you end up offending other people. That's the point. The idea is that by accepting a master, one accepts the occupation of a dog. In other words, a dog cannot thrive without having a master, one thing, right? Your source of, if you don't have a job, how will I live? How will I pay my rent? What will I eat? Isn't it? So a Shudra absolutely needs a master, otherwise he cannot survive. So in stronger words, Srila Prabhupada is saying like a dog, the occupation of a dog. Dog cannot thrive without having a master who will maintain him, who will pay him. And for the sake of pleasing the master, dogs offend many people, right? This is mine, right? My master, or you can say this is my company, right? Or my school or my whatever. And then there's competition with others. You defend yours, what you consider yours, you have to defend that. So this is a dog's mentality. A dog cannot thrive without a master, and for the sake of pleasing the master, the dog offends many people. They bark at innocent people just to please the master. Similarly, when one is a servant, he has to perform abominable activities according to the orders of the master. When you take up a job, yeah, I'll give you one example. Like sometimes devotees also have to take up jobs in different places for their survival, and they personally don't eat meat. They don't, they follow the four regulative principles, but then they go and serve out that to others, right? Because it's part of your job, you have to do that. You have to serve tea or even serve meat, and you should not do that, by the way. You should not do that, because you are not free from that sinful reaction. I'm a devotee, but I'm doing it for the sake of my job. No, you will still get that sinful reaction. You should not do that type of job. Selling wine, right? You may even not be selling, you may be just working in a wine shop for your maintenance. But that is a wine shop after all. So this is the life of somebody who's being maintained by another, who's being paid by another. When you're paid, then you're obliged to do that type of work to please the master. Otherwise, you won't get paid. So he has to perform abominable activities, right? Many times I have seen devotees, you know, uh, another instance I have seen sometimes, when you get when you are in the army, you get free supply of wine and things like that. Devotees don't drink themselves, but because they get it free, they take it and they give it as gifts to workers and whatever, and then the workers work for them. We don't become free from these type of activities. We should not stay away from these sinful activities altogether. But when you're working for such masters, the result is you become implicated, because you have to do that. You have to do that. You're having a master. So that's the difficult situation. So here Rup Sanatan Goswamis are saying that. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, when one is a servant, he has to perform abominable activities according to the orders of the master. Therefore, when Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik compared their position to that of Jagai and Madhai, they found Jagai's and Madhai's position far better, because they were not working under some lecha, who's asking them to do sinful activities, and because of being servants, they have to do all that work. Yeah, actually, it's to have a good master is a blessing. Good, not just good in terms of pious, that's there, but to have a devotee master. Vaishnava acharyas pray that I don't mind taking birth again and again in this material world. I have only one prayer, one request. Let me take birth as a servant, right? In a Vaishnava's family. Why a servant? Let me take birth as a dog near a Vaishnava's house, where I will get the remnants of that Vaishnava. And I'll stand there and I'll bark and protect that Vaishnava's home, right? Or let me even take birth as an insect in a Vaishnava's home, like a mosquito. That's far better than becoming a human being and serving under somebody, who's not a devotee. And to please such a master, I have to do abominable activities. That's not, it's a very difficult situation. That's what Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami are saying. We are working for Nawab Hussain Shah. We are lowly, right? So therefore, when Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik compared their position to that of Jagai and Madhai, they found Jagai's Madhai's position far better. Jagai and Madhai never accepted the position of serving a low-class person, nor were they forced to execute abominable activities under the order of a low-class master. Right? So neither did they, Jagai Madhai neither had to accept the position of serving a low class person, nor were they forced to execute. So, first, you understand the difference. Directly serving a low class master, right? Let's say massaging his feet or cooking for him or whatever, for example. You are serving somebody who is a low class person. Second thing is, because that low class person is your master, you have to do abominable activities, not just directly serving him. In order to serve him, you have to perform abominable activities. Maybe go and torture other people or whatever. Simply because you are his servant, you have to carry out abominable activities. Jagai Madai didn't have to do this because they were not anyone's servants. They were Brahmin family, right? Yes, they did sinful activities, but they didn't work for a low class master. Jagai and Madhai chanted the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by way of blasphemy. But because they simply chanted his name, they immediately became free from the reactions of sinful activities. Thus, later they were saved. As I explained in the beginning, right? They chanted Mahaprabhu's name by way of blasphemy. Nevertheless, it was Nama Bhas, because that chanting of the name of the Lord is bhakti, chanting, kirtanam, right? It is bhakti. Navada Bhakti, one of the limbs is Kirtanam. They were chanting. Of course, they were chanting not out of devotion, but by way of blasphemy. Still, even Abhasa Bhakti will give you freedom from sinful reactions. You won't get love of Godhead by Abhasa Bhakti, but you can get liberation by Abhasa Bhakti. Tomara nama loya, tomara korila nindana, sei nama hoila tara muktira karana. Jagai and Madhai uttered your holy name by way of blaspheming you. Jagai Madhai uttered, Mataji is asking why Rup and Sanatan Goswami accepted to work under a Yavana king. Maybe I have missed it in last week classes. I'm here. Yes, Mataji, you missed it. I'll tell you in one line. The king, they were very, very highly qualified persons. Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami were very, very highly qualified, like super intelligent, wise, like we know a little bit about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right? He could solve the most difficult cases in a in a matter of couple of minutes. He would just be able to solve. Super advanced. So they were highly qualified, right? They were scholars in Persian, Sanskrit, so many languages. And they had very good public relations. People just loved them. So Nawab Hussain Shah wanted them to work for him because it was to his advantage. But why would they come and work for him? So the Nawab threatened them that if they did not submit to work for him, then they would torture all the Hindus. That's why. That's why. So that's why then they kind of, you have to even make the master believe that you are completely his. So they just, their names are changed, their looks are changed to convince him that yes, we are completely yours now. Leave them alone. Leave the Hindus alone, like that. Okay. Next. Jagai and Madhai uttered your holy name by way of blaspheming you. Fortunately, that holy name became the cause for their deliverance. See? Really, the problem is aparad. If you don't have aparad, then even if you are sinful, once chanting holy name can deliver you. But so that, what does that tell us? We've been chanting all these years, still we are not getting prema. Why? Because we have so many offenses. So when you have offenses, what is the solution? Repeated chanting, repeated chanting. Srila Prabhupada once said that every time you do bhakti, every time you chant Hare Krishna, it's like you put 1 cent in your account, bank account. So when will you get the business? When you have $100. So each time you put 1 cent, 1 cent, 1 cent, one day when it becomes $100, then you get the business, right? Like that, you don't know exactly when all your offenses will be cleared, and then you can get. But the fact that we didn't get love of Godhead yet means we still have offenses. That's why. So, and what is the solution? The only solution is continue chanting the holy names of the Lord. And certainly, if you continue like this, at some point they will be cleared and you'll get, of course, by the mercy of Krishna. It's not a mechanical process. It's not a mechanical process like, it's not like Jnana Yoga, that by my endeavor I'm going to achieve something. But nevertheless, we should understand this is the process. Just keep chanting. But we can understand why we are not yet experiencing that. Tomara nama loya, tomara korila nindana, say nama hoila tara muktira karana. Yes, they chanted your name to blaspheme you, right? Like in a funny way, right? They were making fun. Nimai Pandit, you sing very nicely. Or Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, like that. They were making fun, joking. But still, that jokingly also, when they took that name, that joking became the cause of their deliverance. This is the power of the holy name. Jagai madhai hoite koti koti guna, adhama patita papi ami dui jana. We too are millions and millions of times inferior to Jagai and Madhai. We are more degraded, fallen and sinful than they. Yes, Jagai Madhai were far better. You are called Patita Pavana because you have delivered Jagai and Madhai. Yes, of course, they're, but actually it's not going to be as easy for you to deliver us. We are millions of times more fallen than Jagai and Madhai. Like that. Yes, Mataji? Yavali Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, my humble obeisance, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This reminds me, Shishupal and Krishna.
Yeah, same person, no?
All the time. He just says, no, like they say, I cannot praise if my tongue gets 100 pieces also, I cannot do. I don't want to do. But that way he's saying, if my tongue gets 100 pieces also, I cannot praise you. That's not enough for me. One way that is the meaning. One way this is the meaning. But still, he got liberation. Is that right? After 100 mistakes.
Ah,
That's what I
well,
think.
he actually had envy towards the Lord.
Yeah.
Of course, your point is, even though he had envy, still he was taking the name of the Lord, so he got liberation. Yes, you can say that.
Like Jagai
Got
Mother, he was
liberation.
all the time telling Shishupal, Krishna, something or other. Krishna, no, I don't want Krishna. Like this, he was mentioning his name, I think.
No,
That's
but there's a difference between Jagai Mada and Shishupal. Of course, they are the same person. Shishupal, right? Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Shishupal, Dantavakra, and
mm-hmm.
Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. They only together came
Yeah.
as Jagai Madai. That is there. But still, about Jagai Madai, it is said, although they committed so many sinful activities, they never committed any offense. They never committed any aparad, Nam aparad or Vaishnava aparad. They didn't commit. About Jagai Mada, it is said. Shishupal was outright envious of Krishna and he was blaspheming Krishna day and night. He hated Krishna. Jagai Mada didn't hate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They didn't hate. Of course, yeah, Nityananda Prabhu, they attacked Nityananda Prabhu. That's there. But that's why Mahaprabhu.
For some reason, I was thinking, he was, Shishpal was saying Krishna's name either way, whether he is criticizing him, but other way you can say, take the other meaning also. He was praising him. So that's what I
Acha,
thought.
you are telling like that. That generally that's what it is. Even Hiranyakashipu says all types
Uh-huh.
of things, and
Yeah.
our acharyas give in where although his intention
Yeah, his intention
his
is that.
intention was to blaspheme, but
Uh-huh.
that blasphemy has another meaning which actually means glorification of the Lord.
Glorification, yeah.
But that does not mean we'll give credit to him for that giving that glorification. He doesn't get credit for glorifying. Nevertheless, because in the seventh canto it is said, Prahlad Maharaj, not Prahlad, Narad Muni tells Yudhishthir Maharaj that even if one takes the name of the Lord out of lust, out of envy, out of anger, still, because the name is so powerful, it will still deliver that person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Shishupal out of
Mm-hmm.
envy, but Kamsa out of anger, out of fear actually, Bhaya. Kamsa is out of fear. Day and night he's thinking about
Yeah.
Krishna. And Shishupal, day and night, he couldn't forget one moment Krishna out of envy. So this also delivered them. Yes, they got liberation.
Yeah.
But that does not give us love of Godhead. It will
No, no,
liberate us, but we won't get love. Yes, yes, Mataji.
that's how I thought so. Thank you very much, Mother.
Thank you, Mataji. So, yeah. Mleccha jati, mleccha sevi, kori mleccha karma, go brahmana drohi sange amara sangama. Actually, we belong to the caste of meat eaters. They were not meat eaters, but this is what Rupa Goswami is saying. Actually, we belong to the caste of meat eaters because we are servants of meat eaters. Indeed, our activities are exactly like those of the meat eaters. Because we always associate with such people, we are inimical toward the cows and brahmanas. Purport. There are two kinds of meat eaters, one who is born in a family of meat eaters and one who has learned to associate with meat eaters. From Srila Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis, formerly Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik, we can learn how one attains the character of a meat eater simply by associating with meat eaters. This is the whole point about this, why we need devotee societies, devotee communities, where even for our livelihood, we don't have to go and associate with meat eaters. Even for our livelihood, we can just stay in the society of devotees and, for our livelihood also. If we simplify our livelihood, this is possible, right? Like if you have a devotee community, somebody is growing food, somebody is preparing cloth, somebody is preparing pots, like that. So why is it stressed so much? Association matters. You may not do it yourself, but when you're associating with people who are doing it, that activity brings envy in your consciousness, and it increases the modes of passion and ignorance, which put obstacles on the progress of your bhakti. So, from the example of Dabir Ka Sakar Malik, formerly Dabir Ka Sakar Malik, Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, we can learn how one attains the character of a meat eater simply by associating with meat eaters. At the present moment in India, the presidential offices are occupied by many so-called Brahmanas, right? Brahmanas in name only. But the state maintains slaughterhouses for killing cows. Now they are Brahmanas, at home they are maintaining their Brahmanical duties, but they are going and working for a government which is maintaining slaughterhouses for killing cows and makes propaganda against Vedic civilization. The government is making propaganda against Vedic civilization, and the Brahmanas are going and working for such a government. Can they be free from that influence? No, they cannot. They're taking money from such government. And with that money, they're maintaining themselves. They will also get implicated. The first principle of Vedic civilization is the avoidance of meat eating and intoxication. Presently in India, intoxication and meat eating are encouraged. See,
Yes.
Prabhupada is writing this in the 70s, right, in India, and now it is 2020s. Imagine how much we have degraded. Presently in India, intoxication and meat eating are encouraged, and the so-called learned Brahmanas presiding over this state of affairs have certainly become degraded according to the standard given herein by Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. How they have become degraded? Because they are working for such a government. Personally, they may not be doing it themselves, but they are working for such a government which is promoting these activities. These so-called Brahmanas give sanction. They have to sign because their authority is working. They have to sign, right? Because you're a servant. This is your job. You have to do your job, otherwise you won't get your pay. So these so-called Brahmanas give sanction to slaughterhouses for the sake of a fat salary. And they do not protest these abominable activities, right? Why? Because you're a servant. Servant cannot protest, right? They do not protest these abominable activities. By deprecating the principles of Vedic civilization and supporting cow killing, they are immediately degraded to the platform of mlechas and yavanas. However, you may think, oh, I am a Brahmana and I do 3 times Sandhya Vandanam and all that. But if you're working for a mlecha, then because of that work, you are deprecating the principles of Vedic civilization, and therefore you yourself become degraded to the platform of mlechas and yavanas. A mlecha means what? A mlecha is a meat eater, and a yavana is one who has deviated from Vedic culture. That means originally he was from the Vedic culture, now he got deviated from that. Mlecha means somebody who eats meat. Unfortunately, such mlechas and yavanas are in executive power. How then can there be peace and prosperity in the state? That is why if we want to establish this Daiva Varnashram, first thing that we need is we need a Kshatriya, a devotee as the ruler. As long as the mlechas are in the executive power, then everyone else is servants under them.
Yep.
So how can there be peace and prosperity in the state? The king or the president must be the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Maharaj Yudhishthir accepted the rule of Bharatvarsha, formerly this entire planet, including all the seas and land, that was Bharatvarsha, he took sanction. He took sanction from authorities like Bhishma Dev and Lord Krishna. He thus ruled the entire world according to religious principles. At the present moment, however, heads of state do not care for religious principles, right? They don't even believe in God. If irreligious people vote on an issue, even though it be against the principles of the Shastras, the bills will be passed, right? It may be against, but you need majority vote. And these people, what is the character? Meat eaters, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, they're engaged in all these activities, they vote. And because of the majority, they pass some bills. Even though these bills are against the principles and shastras, they will be accepted. The president and heads of state become sinful by agreeing to such abominable activities. Sanatan and Rup Goswamis pleaded guilty to such activities. They therefore classified themselves among the Mlechas, although they had been born in a Brahmana family. So this is a very, very, very important situation in the society, and we cannot just close our eyes saying that well, this is Kali Yuga and this is how things are going. We will sit at home and we will chant Hare Krishna, and by that we are going back to Godhead in this lifetime. Not like that. Yes, by chanting you will be delivered, but like Kali, Kali asked Parikshit Maharaj, where can I stay? Parikshit Maharaj said these 4 places where these sinful activities are going on: meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex, and where gold is hoarded. There I will stay. Or there you can stay. But as long as you are the leader, nobody can stay, right? I mean, these things won't happen. Where will I stay? He's thinking, Kali. And simply by chanting Hare Krishna, everyone will be delivered. In Kali Yuga, so many bad things are there, but simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can be delivered. Kali is feeling very happy in his heart. I won't let them chant Hare Krishna in the first place. Yes, by chanting you'll be delivered. I won't allow them to chant only. How they will be delivered? This is the problem. So therefore we have to stay away from the modes of passion and ignorance,
There
because
are
they
not
will
so much.
constantly be putting obstacles in your chanting. Association is very, very important. So the whole purpose of a Daiva Varnashram society is we will live in the association of devotees, not just once a week on Sundays when we go to the temple, or not just in the morning, once in the morning we come together for Bhagavatam class, but we will actually be living with devotees. We will be growing with devotees, right? Cooking, working, everything all day long will be associating with devotees. And the plan is the whole world should become a Daiva Varnashram society. That's the plan. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plan.
Krishna
Yes,
has
Mataji.
come. Now, this is what Mataji's two questions are there for me. Actually, you're saying we cannot work for like meat, uh, whoever is meat, this thing,
Eaters.
boss, like that, under that boss. But Kali, if we have to feed your family, you need a job, you're not getting anywhere. Then if you have to work, like for example, working in a grocery store, they process meat like I always watch that.
Yeah,
That person may not be eating meat, but he's touching the meat and he's like
exactly.
that. That way he will get the sin. But what will
Yes,
he do? What will he do? He has to feed his family.
exactly. It has to be, that's why I said we need a ruler, a Kshatriya, and
Uh,
also as a group, it's a collective effort. It's not a one person's effort. He will decide, okay, I will do single handedly what he will do. We have to come together as a group and make this decision. Like a few devotees will come together and they will buy some land, and then they will start on a small scale, gradually moving away. So less dependence on the society which is against the Vedic principles, minimizing our dependence on them. That's the way to become, you become sinless, or at least you're making a gesture, at least having this awareness, that we are in a dangerous situation, and trying to be cautious as much as possible and trying to move away from that. That is also appreciated. But in ignorance, as they say, ignorance is bliss, right? Oh, everything is so nice and comfortable, and it's so convenient here. We just go to the store and we get our things whatever we want. Now we can peacefully chant Hare Krishna. No, 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 no. This system is a very dangerous system. Unknowingly, you're getting implicated. That's the whole point.
They put some
Yes,
things next to meat. So
so
sometimes
many, yeah,
it's very
yeah,
hard. And then one
yeah.
more question I have. Parikshit Maharaj, in his kingdom, Kali asked, okay, Kali came. He asked, where should I stay? If you're not letting me in your kingdom. But he gives those places, gold and other. He himself got into that.
He
Parikshit Maharaj,
himself who?
Parikshit Maharaj,
Uh,
isn't that he was having in his crown that this thing was there, Kali was there, and he did that mistake.
no, where gold is accumulated means, of course, Kali
That
will
he
be
can
there
sit in
wherever
the gold,
gold is.
he sat in the gold.
Yeah, so then you have to understand what is that gold mean. Of course, gold, literally it is gold, but also generally what is the idea of gold? It's greed.
Yeah,
Gold means greed. So he was not guilty of that sin of out of greed, because for a pure devotee, what attachment he has for wealth and treasury? He won't have any attachment. If
okay.
that were true, how could he just give everything up and go instantly? Who could do that? You see, in today's world, also so many people are diagnosed with terminal diseases. Are they able to just drop everything? They are in great anxiety. What will happen to my property? What will happen to
Yeah,
this and that? And Parikshit Maharaj, as soon as he heard that you're going to die in
he
7 days,
I'm not saying that, I'm not denying that. But
yeah, so he
until
was
that
not
point,
affected by that. Yeah,
yeah, he was affected. He himself ruled that thing, passed the rule, and he himself got into that. I feel
yeah.
so.
So
I
you have to understand their accumulation of gold. Not just wherever there is gold, wherever there is accumulation of gold. So
thought
you
that,
have to understand accumulation of gold means
yeah,
that there
that
is greed.
that I know, but he had in this, that's why the Kali was sitting there, that's why he got into that problem.
Oh, like that you are saying.
Hmm.
Acha.
Was
Of
there
course,
more?
it is also said that Kali was planning to kill
Yeah, planning.
Parikshit Maharaj, because Parikshit Maharaj was an obstacle. As long as Parikshit Maharaj is there, he won't get any place to stay.
Uh,
So, yeah, it's
but
said,
of
that
course, this
also is
is a
said.
very good lesson for us. In 7 days, he finished his Bhagavatam and he did. He is a Karan Janma. Parikshit Maharaj was a Karan Janma, that he came for that reason, and then he showed us how to live and then what to do. Isn't that right?
I
Am I right?
don't know about that, Mataji. I'm not sure about that part,
I
about
thought
his
so.
Karan Janma. But he was a pure devotee, no doubt. When he
Yeah.
appeared, yeah, there was, from Bhagavatam we read how, they glorified about his future activities,
Mhm.
and how Srimad Bhagavatam is going to come. Yes, that is said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Correct.
dear devotees.